is happening this season and potentially what is to come in these final few weeks of the campaign. You say it's tailor-made as well. Best defence in the league, Sheffield United, against the worst defence in the league in Ipswich. You can only see it going one way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
Well, they need slightly better corner kicks than we just saw from Norwood, who's had a pretty good season, I would have said. It's literally quite amazing. They're the only team who I look at in the table down to about 10th that I don't get. Everybody's pretty where they should be. I think Norwich have been the outstanding team for me this season, and I would take nothing away from them. In theory, the Blades could even go up as champs. They've got that difficult game, last game of the season away at Stoke. Ball's up in the air, just headed away there by Cole Skuse, but doesn't clear his lines. Yeah, I mean, when you look at it again, like I said, Norwich and that phalanx of German players there, but I thought that's very clever. You know, they look like a good team. When you see them, they get on the front foot. You know, you look at that team now and you think, yeah, I get it. Players like Unel Hernandez, the pace he's got, and Pookie, the way he can sniff a goal out. You look at somebody like McGoldrick in this Blades team. He'd been around. You know, I think he was at Ipswich, wasn't he? As the ball comes right across the face there, close to McGoldrick. You know, but nobody's thinking then, oh, yeah, his next move will be Sheffield United and he'll be playing in the Premier League the year after. You know, nobody's thinking that.
Yeah.
And so Wilder gets a tune out of these guys. And it also goes to show that the former Ipswich Town manager sort of knew what he was doing with the players that he got in. You know, much maligned Mick McCarthy, but knew a good play when he saw one.
Yeah, exactly that. And I mean, you go over to Billy Sharp, another one as well, who's been well travelled about and has scored goals, but in the Sheffield United side has gone to another level, hasn't he? He's up there as one of the top scorers in the division this season, and they're just so well drilled. I think that's the key thing to see about them. So many years in League One, they were almost there getting promotion. A succession of managers just kept falling at the final hurdle, but Wilder came in, he got them up first season. They went far off the playoffs last season, and then you find them third year now looking for automatic promotion. I mean, they continue to improve season on season. The way that he's got them drilled and organised is so impressive.
Yeah, and here they're just laying siege to the Town goal already. We're 3 minutes in. Seen about 8 crosses. People keep throwing themselves out the ball. Ball breaks to Fleck now, middle of the park. He's got plenty of time. Ipswich already, to my naked eye, look like a mess. They're all over the shop. And here we go. Easy. Whoever's on the ball has got about 8 options at the minute for the Blades, and they're like typical. They made good ground, and then it's like you're looking around and thinking, well, yeah, I could pass him or past him. Ball into the box. There was a little step over there by Luke Chambers. I'm not sure that was intentional, but anyway, rather luckily, the ball goes out.
I think he's trying to say there was a touch from an Ipswich player on the way through. We'll get a better look at it now.
Well,
they're offside anyway.
Yeah, he was offside when that ball came in, Scott Hogan.
But it's the go back to what I was saying about the organisation, and you talk about always having options on the ball. It's such a strange style, isn't it? We've heard them speak about the overlapping central defenders this season. They play that 3 at the back, and you normally see one of them go and join the attack. When we saw them out on the right-hand side there, they had 1 man on the ball and 2 players on the overlap, and you just don't know how to contend with that then defensively. Do you take players out to deal with that situation and try and mark them? That means you're going to be light in the middle, and there's going to be players there that are going to find a bit of joy. It's just so difficult to know who to go and track, and they overload you. They come forward in great numbers, and they swarm you.
Yeah, and that's it. You know, it's a numbers game, isn't it? We found that out. The team that can get their balancing act right and get themselves on the front foot. Liverpool, Man City do that really well. You know, Norwich City in this division do that well. Leeds do it as well. You know, their game is more or less about energy than numbers necessarily. They play like school kids at times, and I think that's why they've blown themselves out. Whereas the efforts from Bramall Lane is a sort of more subtle variation, and I think it takes a bit less out of their team as well.
Yeah, potentially so, and I think it always helps as well being the underdogs, doesn't it, when it's not expected of you. Certainly at the start of a season we see teams like this over the last few years that have done it. Cardiff for one, Huddersfield before that. They start to build this momentum, and as the season develops, I think the players are still thinking, well, you know what, we'll just keep doing what we're doing. We're not if we lose a couple of games here or there, no one's going to get on our backs. We're still going to be credited for the way we performed, and you get to a point where I think the players then start to believe in themselves and think, you know what, we might actually go and do this. And Sheffield United are that side this season. A bit of concern here for an Ipswich man.
Will Keane off already.
Down. Yeah, he's the former Hull man, isn't he? Who's down on the deck and received a bit of treatment, and they've gestured to the bench as if to say that is game over. That's a blow for them.
Yeah, I think he's still on loan, isn't he, from Hull. Anyway, they're going to bring on, looks like Chalobah, is it?
Yep.
So, I think he played in midweek. So, obviously not the change they wanted to be playing. They wanted to, Paul Lambert wanted to freshen things up as much as he could. And the ball goes back, and all that has just stopped the early momentum of the Blades, really, just like they're on their way. And the victory here, and it's pretty much it, like I said, it's not that easy to go to Stoke on the last day, but by then, they've got 3 points from this if they beat Ipswich. They've got a superior goal difference, at least by quite a margin now. Victory here will only add to that. And I think that's that. I can't imagine Stoke thumping anybody. Not in the shape they're in at the minute. So I think that's it. Leeds have got a game against Villa tomorrow, which the way that Villa are playing and the way that they've upturned could be anybody's game. I think you'd probably suggest that Leeds are going to beat Ipswich Town on the last day of the season. But by then, the Blades shouldn't be too worried. So Trevor Chalobah is on.
Just wondering as well if Leeds do manage to win tomorrow, whether potentially we could see an Aston Villa Leeds playoff semi-final as well. I'm not sure if Derby will be able to catch them now, actually. Aston Villa, but that would have been interesting to see them go head-to-head 3 times in the space of a couple of weeks. And with Ipswich as well, I mean, the way this game has started, obviously Sheffield United look as though they've got them exactly where they want them. Looks only a matter of time until they get the goal, but although they're down, they could still have a bit of a say, can't they, with Sheffield United today. Leeds on the last day of the season. The way they performed all season, you wouldn't expect them to take anything from those games, but sometimes it works out very strangely, doesn't it? Look at Fulham in the Premier League now down, but pressure off, the performances start to come. Yeah,
that's right. Another victory for them today. Middlesbrough gained a vital victory for them. The season looked like it was over. They'd been in the top 1 and 2 for ages with Leeds, and then just it all petered away, and now they're coming good again. We see a pass from Jack O'Connell, one of those centre-backs that you talked about, overlapping, weird. Not such a bad ball, but an easy take for Dean Gherkin, who comes out and claims. Yeah, Middlesbrough gained a notable victory today, 2-1 over Reading. And Derby, again, who I thought were lucky last week, managed to beat Bristol City away 2-0 today. And so they're in that final playoff slot at the minute. It's going to be interesting to see who gets there. I think Derby make an easy fit for Leeds. So too Middlesbrough. I think they'd be hoping that something like that works out for them.
Yeah.
And West Brom and Aston Villa are very difficult for whoever is going to get them.
Yeah, it's tough to pick, I think, from those playoffs. 4 very good sides on their day. I think all have looked poor on occasion, but when they have been at their very best, they all score goals, they all play a good brand of football, and for me, as a neutral in particular, I don't think it matters really who goes up from that 4 into the Premier League. I think I prefer them to any of the sides that are on the way down.
Yeah, fair point. Ball driven across there from the left-hand side. It's all Sheffield United, by the way. We're talking like it's done and dusted, and it's like it almost is. Mark Duffy with the cross there, but it's slightly overhit. Town have not even had an out ball today, but just as I say that, Caden Jackson lays the ball off. And then there was a little foul there. That might have been Egan. So, yeah, Ipswich able to lay that ball back. Miles Kenlock was going to take it. In fact, it's a free kick rather than the throw-in, which they wanted to take. Good ball to Chambers. Immediately he gives it away. He's swarmed. Chance for Fleck. Cut back comes in. ball flicked across the face by Hogan, but it's sliced off his boot. Ipswich are so bad here, it's untrue. I mean, honestly.
Yeah, giving it away so cheaply there. I mean, it's suicide stuff, isn't it? They switched the play, and he shouldn't be under pressure there at the back. It's Chambers, isn't it? He just slices it, panics when he sees the Sheffield United man coming his way, and I think the Blade should wrap this move off, really. It's a nice little cut back there. Slices away across goal. McGoldrick's never going to get onto Hogan's little flick, and the chance goes a begging.
At Bramall Lane, it's so easy. I mean, it's goalless, but it's just chance after chance. 72% possession. Ipswich Town look terrible. They're down and out, aren't they? And, well, pretty soon in this game, they're going to get breached because they're just defending too poor to be true. They look badly organised, Paul Lambert's side, and really just hemmed into their own half. Hogan's made a lively start. McGoldrick there with him as well. And, already Town are constantly under pressure at 0-0.
Just into the 12th minute now, and it does seem inevitable that we're going to have this breakthrough from Sheffield United in the next 5 or 10 minutes. Here McGoldrick pounces on a mistake, and into the box he goes. Oh, he's tried to pass when maybe he still had time to take it on. It's put behind for the corner by Nsiala. Chambers was the man again, found wanting out in that right back position. It's slick football, but he's always the favourite to get to that ball. He gambles by sliding for it, and I think McGoldrick just doesn't show enough, isn't selfish enough in that situation. He has to go for the target for me. They still have the corner there.
It doesn't matter, does it? I mean, honestly, they're just creating that much. Norwood with the ball in, headed back down, eventually thumped away. I'm not being disrespectful here to Ipswich, but they just look all at sea. One of these teams has got momentum, one has not, and it's so obvious. Like, to the naked eye, after 2 minutes, you thought, wow. You know, it's like a party. I mean, this is great for the Blades fans. You know, they'll really be enjoying themselves, I think. It's not that often that it happens in football, is it, when it all just rolls out in front of you. And you can see it, they're within touching distance. They've put themselves in this great position, though, by winning the difficult games, by the hard yards throughout the course of the season. So the fact that they're here, they're almost going to coast in, is really nice for the home fans. And I'm sure that many of them will want to go to Stoke. Ball given away again, and Fleck picks it up just the edge of the area. This time he's dispossessed. Maybe a little counter-attack on now. So we see Town firing forward. Ball to Teddy Bishop, didn't find him there. And eventually there's a little run around at the edge of the area. Kenlock picks the ball up. Ball flicked into the box. And eventually they're trying to work it with Teddy Bishop. First little spell of play that they've had. Kenlock into Chalabar, but so it's not a great ball to him. It's not easy for him to control, and he doesn't. Long ball forward picked up by Luke Chambers, who goes to James Bree, the man from Villa, out on loan into midfield for Carl Skuse. And the ball given away again. Long ball punted forward now by the Blades, and Hogan can't quite get on the end of that. The Salfordian. Anyway, Chalobah now for Ipswich. Decent looking ball. And the lack of control there, not good by Kenlock. But he gets away with it. And, well, just for the minute, Ipswich Town just trying to dig in a little.
Yeah, they've shown a good bit of spirit over the last couple of minutes, haven't they, after those defensive errors that almost provided Sheffield United with the breakthrough. They're actually now moving the ball quite nicely, and here they come again on the attack. I think it's Downs who carries it on, and they'll look to build in the wider areas.
James Bree back on the ball. Passing it round, trying to make that ball move quickly. You know, they look so badly organised, didn't they, at the start? They can only just build into the game. You know, must be pretty difficult. But just playing their triangles and trying to play a little bit of passive football. And McGoldrick, I thought he fouled the man in possession there, but he's dispossessed. He's desperate for it and wins it back. Ball breaks though to Trevor Chalobah, the man who's come off the bench. Will Keane picked up an early injury. Anyway, here come Town. A shot that's a bit of a P-roller, and he's drilled it wide of the mark. Not sure who that was who hit it. Not bad play, that.
Yeah, they're building a nice bit of momentum here. Ipswich got plenty of players forward in that attack, and they work it across towards the edge of the box. It was Downs eventually who played the 1-2. Ipswich's young player of the season. Saw the stat just ahead of kickoff that they've had the most players in their squad featuring this term under the age of 24, Ipswich. So as much as obviously you will probably criticise for the way they've played their football this term and the fact they're going down bottom, some of the fans might take comfort from that they have got a young squad and maybe they can look to mould things going forward with Lambert, who's a good manager, I think, and down in League One might be able to bring a bit of joy back to them. But there, it wasn't the best of effort in the end.
Do you know what? When they had Mick McCarthy, and it was like the most boring team in the world, weren't they? Not going anywhere. And then it's like, be careful what you wish for. Oh, let's do something else. All right, we'll go down then. Not quite what the doctor ordered, but I guess it's exciting. Enough times that I think a team that's absolutely stuck needs to do that. It hurts at the time. The flag goes up there as McGoldrick tries to run through. But Nsiala had read that one fairly well. All of a sudden, if you go down, you can let loose some of those on the bigger contracts. Really think again. If you can get young kids in, if they're good enough, then gain momentum. And all of a sudden, you're heading in a different direction. There's positivity again. You can start building something good. I mean, it doesn't always follow, does it?
No, definitely not. You're not certain to come straight back up, but you're right in saying it gives you the chance to refresh and try and bring a feel-good factor back to the club. Ask Sunderland fans how they felt for 2 or 3 years where they were losing pretty much every game all season, and now down in League One, yes, but they're winning more games, and the fans will at least say, well, I'm going to matches, my money's actually being spent in a decent way now because I go and I come away quite happy watching us pick up results. Yes, they were a Premier League team for a few years, but sometimes you have to take that tumble to come back a little bit stronger.
You sure do. Anyway, ball put out of play down the right-hand side after a brilliant start by the Blades. I think it looks so comfortable for them that maybe they've just thought, well, I'll take a breather. We'll score later. Anyway, the throw-in comes from Baldock, gets flicked on. Maybe a chance then for Mark Duffy to take it further forward. Again, Hogan fighting for it. But he has a decision go against him. So 2 Philolones. Scott Hogan might be running up against James Bree, but both of them at the same club. I thought when Hogan got his move to Aston Villa, with his former Brentford manager, he's probably thought, brilliant, this couldn't be any better. But unfortunately for him at Villa, he just didn't quite get a look in. Tammy Abraham was scoring the goals, and they've got Codger, they've got all sorts of players in there.
Yeah, they've had a few like that over the last couple of years as well. They took Ross McCormack, didn't they? And he failed to really do the job that was expected of him. And I think Hogan, another that had scored goals elsewhere, and they thought perfect fit. Now they're going to have the difficulty of replacing Tammy Abraham, which I think Bristol City have found is tough. He comes, he scores 20 plus goals for you, and find out next season he's no longer there and available. He'll likely be back in the Premier League with someone, if not signed permanently elsewhere. Interesting to see where his future lies, but that's the toughness, I suppose, in the Championship, isn't it? You see these sides with small budgets, they have to go out to the loan market and they win promotion, and it's, well, what do we do from here?
Yep, right. Absolutely. A lot of the Championship sides have got their Premier League loanees, don't they? Young kids. I mean, back in the day, you'll have seen the Andros Townsends and Harry Kanes, won't you? But
yep.
There are 1 or 2 decent ones. Mason Mount, I think. Some guys that really catch the eye. But anyway, these guys getting Championship loanees. 2 from Villa that we're seeing.
Yeah.
So it is goalless. Well, errors leading to goals this season. Ipswich and Bolton top the charts in this division. And you can see that they're a little bit nervy at the back. Seemed disorganised to start with. Anyway, like we said, James Bree out this flank trying to do something, but O'Connell gets a good ball in. It's unfortunate that I think the ball just spat up at McGoldrick, and he just couldn't take it off his chest. That was a good enterprise by Teddy Bishop, and showing a bit of pace to get to the ball. He puts that ball out. Baldock, though, is not interested in his efforts there, just shrugs him off. The ball goes short then, but eventually they're just finding and struggling for room there. Yeah, Teddy Bishop's one of those who went through the Ipswich youth system. They've got a massive catchment in, where they are, and they still get, when you go to Ipswich, you still hear a few, southern or Londonish voices. It's still close enough that you can get a lot of talent from London, I think.
Yeah.
So it's a decent catchment. They're not sort of out on a limb as much as, say, Norwich City are.
Yeah, and I think sometimes that can be tough, can't it? As you say, with Norwich maybe a bit more cut off. They've gone further afield for their players, as you mentioned before, with a bit of a German contingent coming in. Ipswich at the moment are maybe just going through that transitional period where, as we say, they've got the youth players that are coming through into the first team, but they still just need that 1 or 2 more years of senior football before potentially they start to show their full potential or even edge towards that direction. And maybe that's why League One works. I mentioned Sunderland before. They turned to their academy, giving their youngsters the opportunity to go out and take over from those senior higher earning players that had not done so well for them in the past. And you do see that there's more of a feeling towards the club, an affinity, and they have that passion and want to do well.
Bree making ground, but he's then forced to go back. Lays that ball back to Flynn Downs and Alan Judge. Judge making ground on the right hand side, but Bishop takes the ball on, wriggles into the box. Not a bad effort, that. And that ball stabbed out for a throw-in. But that was a bit better, wasn't it?
It's been a good response this from Ipswich. Last 5 minutes they've seen more of the ball. Nice drive into the box. That's heading on target for me towards the near post. I think Henderson would have had it covered. He was down quite quickly, but still the defenders having to get a block in just to make sure. But definitely after the start we saw, you could have excused Ipswich for saying, well, you know what, we're down, heads will drop here, it doesn't really matter. But they've come out and they've put up a good fight.
They have, but now there's a counter-attack on as Baldock makes ground over the halfway line. They're chasing after him. Puts ball into the box, not a particularly good one. And that's eventually dealt with. So, what looked deadly obvious at the start is a bit less obvious now, but I still think, the wiser money would be on Sheffield United. Now, Bramall Lane, after a furious start by the Blades, believe it or not, Ipswich Town are coming into it to some degree. We've already seen Flynn Downs with a shot wide, well wide, by the way. And then a decent break by Teddy Bishop, whose shot was blocked away. O'Connell keeps breaking round the back, and just to say that, the ball ends up at the back of the net. Scott Hogan's put it in, forced in from that left-hand side, and there Hogan just got round his marker, side foot, from close range into the back of the net. Sheffield United 1, Ipswich 0.
Yeah, very much. We thought it was coming in the opening stages of this match, and despite saying that Ipswich had shown a good bit of character, eventually it's just become a little bit too much for them. And out in the wide area, we said earlier on, they get overloaded. That's where Sheffield United can really hurt you. They had a couple of players that have made the runs in behind, were patient before eventually playing that pass, and it's just drilled across goal, left-footed, in towards the near post, and it's a cute little finish in the end there off the inside of the right foot. Hogan turns it home into the far corner of the net. It's O'Connell who plays the pass across the face. Sheffield United lead now at Bramall Lane. You'd fully expect that they're just going to build from this platform that they have created. Second goal in the last 22 appearances for club and country for Hogan, so he's certainly not been prolific this campaign, but popping up just when they needed him to give them the advantage in this game and potentially a huge step forwards towards automatic promotion.
Yeah, well, you hit the nail on the head about the rampaging centre-backs, didn't you? And again, freedom of the park, really. Jack O'Connell is the spring around that left-hand side. Camera focusing on, I don't know whichever Ipswich player there, but for the Blades fans, they're feeling it, aren't they? In the glorious sunshine in South Yorkshire, the fans making a load of noise and having a great day, I think.
Yeah, really enjoying themselves. That have turned out with an expectant mood when they arrived at Bramall Lane this afternoon, and the players so far haven't disappointed in that fashion. The interesting thing for me will be next season. Long ball here is going to go all the way through to Gherkin. If Sheffield United go up as they look as though they will, how Premier League teams are going to deal with this sort of overlapping approach from those central defenders. I'm sure plenty of managers will be taking a look at it over the summer and taking that into consideration. But when you look at how Wolves have taken the Premier League by storm, continue playing the same style from Championship to Premier League, whether Sheffield United can put this into practice and actually have a real good go at things and stay well clear of relegation. It's been done before, and I'd like to see if they can transfer that form.
Yeah, I mean, there's one thing knowing what they're going to do. The other thing is trying to work it out. Again, we look at the bodies down that left-hand side, and there's nobody marking him. So Jack O'Connell has got the freedom of Bramall Lane. Also stood there is John Flake. They're not. If Ender Stevens is the wing back there, he's probably engaged the fullback and brought him on the inside. All right, well, yeah, you're marking me, but who's marking O'Connell now? I think that if you know that they're going to play like that, it presents a real problem to you and your formation. What are you going to do about that? You can't let somebody just deliver free ball in there when he wants. And
no.
And he's done that. That was, I think that's the third or fourth cross from the centre back now.
Yeah.
So that's where goals come from. You get to the byline, cheap and easy, then you've got a good chance.
Yeah. I'm just wondering if, as we say, it's difficult to know what to do in that wide area with stopping the cross, which I suppose is what managers always really want, to stop it at source. If you're not able to do that, then you've got to think about, well, how can we deal with it when it does arrive? You've got to have players in at that near post, I suppose, trying to block off the route, getting bodies in front of in front of attackers. If you don't, then it all becomes far too simple. You've got to think about the full-back. If we can't do it in one area, how do we cope with the aftermath?
Yeah, I think, interesting stuff, but clearly too difficult for Paul Lambert's Ipswich to sort out. We're more than halfway through the first half. Sheffield United 1, Ipswich Town 0. Bobby's going to take us through to half-time.
Yeah, thank you very much, John. It's been a procession, really, from Sheffield United in this opening half an hour. Probably count themselves a bit unlucky that they're only one goal in front as things stand, but I think as this game develops, we are likely to see them press on a little bit more and make this evening as things are now a bit more comfortable. Chris Basham, one of those three central defenders who did start out life as a central midfielder at Bolton. He's more than comfortable at getting forward. He's going to take the throw here. Goes infield towards Norwood. Gets it back. He's caught in possession, but sees the ball flick away off an Ipswich man. Bishop and out for the throw-in, which this time they do move it a little bit sharper and now into opposition territory. Out on the left-hand side with Stevens. Again, he's got runners going up ahead of him. He's going to put the ball in himself this time. Cleared away at the near post. Went for the low route. Coming out to try and compete for the ball is Duffy. Does well to hold it up and rolls it back into O'Connell, who will drive infield this time. Switches the play right-hand side with Baldock. He feels he's blocked off there, the Sheffield United man. Referee disagrees and he's going to bounce away and go for the goal kick. It'll be a hammer blow as well for Ipswich. We've been giving them a little bit of credit for the way that they had responded after a poor start, but it's just simple football. It finds them on the back foot, conceding a goal. And same old story. Paul Lambert having a chat with his backroom staff and maybe just trying to fine-tune things a little bit. Case of damage limitation from here on out, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, it's not been a great season. There's only Bolton conceded more, and of course they're so far off being the team that's safe. Millwall are in 21st position with 44 points. Ipswich got 28 points. It's a chasm. It's a massive amount away. But they know what it is. It's a rebuilding job, and they'll be hoping that the kids that they've got are good enough that they can work on them and without spending too much money. I mean, money in short supply. Nobody falling over themselves to buy a season ticket for next season. We're down the division. Yeah, I mean, it's tough.
Free kick here for Ipswich, just inside their own box, and Ciala doing well to hold off Baldock, who tried a trick to turn inside him in the box. Referee Tim Robinson had felt that Nciala was unfairly impeded, and I think rightly so in the end, gets them off the back foot, at least for the moment. They're going to take a throw down the left-hand side. Kenlock sends it towards a teammates, back out into touch again. The Blades appeal, it should be theirs, but I think it is going to go to the travelling side. Just over half an hour gone then. And Sheffield United, if you are just joining us, leading by a goal to nil. Hogan clipping in after a nice ball from the left-hand side by O'Connell. And they have had plenty of other opportunities as well. Ipswich continue to stick to their guns in keeping possession deep inside their own half. They're not looking just to launch it long, despite the fact they've been caught in possession countless times already. McGoldrick flicks one down the line now. That might be just a bit too big for his teammate Stevens to get onto, and it is covered in the end at the back by Chambers, Bree rather, who comes flying across and puts into touch. O'Connell does get things moving again, and they go infield now across towards Norwood. Help further across to the right-hand side where Baldock is positioned. He's got Basham, who has gone ahead of him this time. The crossing opportunity is on for Fleck, and it's a good ball as well, but headed away at the near post. Still competing for that one edge of the area. Stevens it is who has picked it up. Gets to the byline and plays it off, and Ciala that'll go behind for the corner.
At times it looks like they can play a little bit, these Ipswich boys, and other times it's just men against boys, you know, and they're all at sea. And they were there. Everybody stopped, didn't they? And apart from Ender Stevens, they said, well, that ball's not going out. What do you expect me to stop for? And he wins an easy corner kick. Yeah, at times they look amateurish and disorganised, but can they hold on to the break? I think 2-0, they're done and dusted.
Oh, it's a well-worked corner that's turned behind for another set piece. It was disguised and turned to the edge of the box. Norwood, who can strike a ball so well, hits it first time. I think this one's on target as well. Nciala in the end is the man who gets his body in the way, just to make sure that there's going to be no save required from Dean Gherkin. They've taken the resulting corner short. It's flicked into the box towards the byline, and they are under a little bit of pressure, so Basham will have to turn it away from goal, and Norwood might have the chance to cross again. They're reluctant to do so and just continue to recycle it until they do see that perfect opportunity to deliver. Driving back towards the byline, and then eventually a low cross comes in under pressure. Ipswich can hook it away. Sheffield United should win possession back with Basham. He's forced off the ball there, looked very strong, but the linesman, who had a great view, decided it was fair. And Ipswich do claw it away this time to about the halfway line, where the Blades get it back in play immediately. But going to sleep on that set piece, back to the one that Norwood had the opportunity from.
Yeah, it's right. I mean, he's just at the edge of the area waiting. It's like it's such a simple pot shot, you know. There's a lot of big things that are obvious, and then little things, you know. It's a great ball into the box. They've fallen asleep again. Oh. Keeper comes out, does just enough. Cole Skuse, then he's able to clear his lines. McGoldrick now driving into the box. He flicks that ball in. Shot comes in from Baldock. That's blocked away. They lay in a siege, and here they go again into the box. Ball forced in. It's hit Ender Stevens on his thigh. Oh, dear me, that should have been number 2.
Yeah, had it gone past Stevens, I think it was McGoldrick who was just behind, who was probably in a better position to turn it in, but Stevens couldn't become invisible. It just collides off him and does Ipswich a bit of a favour. But as you said, that was a beautiful ball that initially started to move off. It was McGoldrick who had played it through the Ipswich defence from left to right, and they immediately found themselves through on goal. Ipswich just about hanging on in this game. I think even at 1-0 there's no real suggestion that they're going to be able to go and turn this match around, but at least there is hope potentially from their fans. Elsewhere in the Premier League, I can tell you that Newcastle have just taken the lead. Ayoze Perez, having a good end to the season, has scored away at Brighton.
At Bramall Lane, the Blades are a goal up and very nearly got a second one. Oliver Norwood waiting for the ball at the edge of the area from a corner. His shot deflected up in the air by Nciala. Then a goalmouth melee after McGoldrick put a lovely, clever through ball into the danger area. And Ipswich do look like the Keystone Cops at the back. They are all over the place. They did have a spell of trying to keep the ball, some meaningful possession. But at times it looks like men against boys. And unfortunately for the boys, they're losing.
Do send a ball forward. The travelling side, but it doesn't quite work out, and Sheffield United win possession along with a free kick then as Chalobah just gets a little bit too aggressive in his challenge on the halfway line, and Sheffield United very much looking to restart play as quickly as possible every time they get that opportunity. Throw-ins, all set pieces. They're not allowing Ipswich an opportunity to have a breather and reset. They are pretty relentless at present. McGoldrick here has switched play, and that's a poor ball. Two players felt it was for another one, and in the end it goes between three of them, and the width of the pitch out for a throw-in on Ipswich's left, which Kenlock takes, sends him field to Bishop and drops it back into defence with Nsiala. In turn he'll find goalkeeper Gherkin, who just clips it nonchalantly out towards the right hand side. A little bit too casual because he's chipped it straight into touch over the head of Chambers. And apologies, rightly so, sent in the direction of the defender from his goalkeeper. Paul Lambert, we saw before, has got a pretty good record against Sheffield United. He's won his last 3 games against them, but I think coming into today's match probably knew that record was likely to come to an end. On the basis of what we've seen so far, could be quite a heavy one as well. Chalobah clearing away inside his own box with Duffy lurking in the wings just around him. Stevens is going to take the resulting throw out on this left-hand side, and he has taken it a little bit longer about getting this one back into play. Options didn't immediately show themselves, so gets the return ball eventually, and is now under pressure from 2. Has skipped away from 1, but can't evade the attentions of Downs. It appears that Stevens has been penalised for just a bit of a tug back on the Ipswich man. So it will be a free kick deep inside their own half.
Well, as it stands, they're 6 points better off than Leeds United, and in terms of goal difference, 10 goals better. Yep. You know, they're sat pretty, aren't they? There was a point, though, a couple of weeks ago where Leeds had taken the lead against Wigan, where they must have been feeling very similar. And it's funny how things can change. But at the minute, it would take something incredible. And let's face it, the Wigan team that beat Leeds the other week have actually got some really good players in their team. You know, 2 or 3 that could play in the Premier League, I think. And look at this Ipswich Town team. I don't think a man jack of them could last 10 minutes in the Premier League.
Yeah, we've seen some pretty bad performances in the Premier League from the likes of Huddersfield and Fulham this term, but I think Ipswich would even struggle against the likes of those potentially. And what we've seen so far, just the way that they give it away so cheaply at the back time and time again, is really not comfortable to watch. Here they are on the left-hand side, Sheffield United now. They move it into the area, come back out wide. O'Connell again tries the cross. His route blocks off this time. That'll be the corner kick, and again a chance to load the box up. And about 7 or 8 minutes now until the half-time break, and Sheffield United, how much they would love to grab a second just to give themselves that breathing space. I don't think there'll be a worry in the world really for those players at the moment, but definitely feel much better about the performance if they can get that second. Delivery is good towards the far post. It's flicked up by the head of Nsiala. And Basham will go across to the far side to go and retrieve it. He is actually going to leave possession to Baldock to take the throw, and that allows Basham just to drop in a little bit more. Baldock has been sent towards the byline and tries to shape up for the cross. Goes to the far post, flicked away by the head of Bree. Picked up then by a Blades man who sends it across the far post. McGoldrick can't quite get the header down, and eventually it's turned behind for the goal kick.
Yeah, again half a chance at the edge of the area for Oliver Norwood. Again, crosses come in whenever they want from the left-hand side. You know, it wasn't even Jack O'Connell. He's not even bothering this time. It's just John Fleck stood in an acre of space. It's like free delivery. I don't know what what system they're employing, but essentially they've got nobody right-hand side of midfield, and it's making it easy. I don't know what James Bree's supposed to do in that situation, but probably got 3 to mark. But yeah, if you can overlap and get bodies forward. The last team that I remember doing that regularly were Martinez's Wigan,
yeah,
who used to overlap on particular flanks, and they'd go 3 against 2 and they'd work it. And they often said at that point Martinez did a brilliant job for a Wigan side who sort of needed to have one man more than the opposition because they weren't as good. You know, in a similar way to the Blades, I think their future will be a bit like Wigan's in there. When Wigan went up, though, I think they were probably a better passing team than the Blades are now.
Yeah, they did have that great strength and ability to enjoy possession, I suppose, in games, which is key once you get to the Premier League. Something they might have to work on, Sheffield United. No doubt that Chris Wilder has recognised areas that they will need to improve upon once they get to the top flight, which looks inevitable at the moment, as John said, the way the standings are at the moment in the Championship. They've got a free kick at the moment, wide on the right-hand side. Plenty of options in the box to go and try and challenge for this one, but delivery is poor. It's overhit and it's going to go straight away behind. Good area there. They need to make better of those situations.
Yeah, they need to make the game safe, don't they?
Yeah.
I think 2-0 is dead and buried. You can't see Ipswich coming back. 1-0, you're never quite certain, are you? You know, for all that they've been on top, we've seen 2 chances from Ipswich, albeit powder puff. But you know, every dog has its day, and these guys are obviously really good players. You know, whether they're a cohesive unit, whether they've got that much experience, but at some point somebody could do something that goes against the grain of what we've seen. And you know, here they come driving forward again. Bishop played all right, just to say that his layoff is just a little bit short, but yeah, it's an ambition. You know, they want to do well, don't they? And it's not like they all feel, oh, you know, we're going to take a hiding, we better just sit back. These guys have got nothing to lose, so that's it. They've got that about them. You know, well, it's just 1-0. They can fire bodies forward and say to hell with it. You know, we'll take a risk or two. Why not?
I saw just a moment ago that Ipswich so far have only had 1 touch in the opposition box. Might be about to add their second as they now stand over a free kick that is about to be whipped in to that 18-yard box. Now it's headed up in the air by Sheffield United, then headed goalwards, but wide and away by Chalobah. So that is their second touch, but just shows that the gulf really at the moment, I think it was 17 at that point for Sheffield United. They've had a few more since, but just not able to really make it count when they have got to that final third. Ipswich, that they have built up the field well at times, but it's then having the right runners in the box and enough creativity a little bit deeper to find those players.
Yeah, interesting to see Dean Henderson with the cap on there. We don't see that. I often think, well, you've got to be blinded there. Sun's so low. So, yeah, definitely thinking about what they've needed to do today, making sure that no stone left unturned. And that smacks to me of a team that's professional, you know, prepares properly, goes about the business the right way. They've been very thorough, I've thought, so far today.
Have the throw in now down the left-hand side, which is going to be taken by Stevens. And again, far too easily, just plays a little 1-2 with Duffy, and they're back in play. And under pressure, they do win another throw in. But every time they've had these throws, there's always been an option on it. Simply returned back to the man who has restarted play. A minute left of this first half. I don't think we'll get a great deal of additional time. Once more, it's the same result. Back to Stevens, who swings the cross in. No one there to attack it this time. And Ipswich can hook it away, but not fully clear. They find themselves having to battle for the right to work away downfield. And Chalobah then just loses his balance as he plays it on. Nice little flick away here from Hogan as he drives away down the left-hand side. McGoldrick is the only option in the middle. As he looked to find his strike partner, it's blocked away. And Sheffield United will end this first half on the front foot. Final 30 seconds of the 45. Another corner kick, an opportunity for them. It's a lovely little flick this actually by Hogan. Under pressure, spins away from his man. Maybe feeling more confident after getting that goal, a rarity for him this season.
Yeah, keeping Billy Sharp on the bench today, but you know, having a good game so far.
Corner comes into the far post, flicked away by an Ipswich head. Basham will retrieve it on the far side. We're over the 45 now. He does roll it back in towards one of his teammates on the halfway line. 2 minutes of additional time to be played at the end of this first half. A little bit surprised by that. We did have, I suppose, the substitution, a brief injury with Keane going off and Chalobah coming on. As Duffy picks the ball up high, up the field now and on the edge of the box. All a little bit scrappy. Sheffield United can't engineer an opportunity. Ipswich are stopped as they approach the halfway line, but will battle for it. Good full-blooded stuff from both sides. Eventually it's gone against Ipswich. I thought that one might have been a bit harsh, might be starting to boil over now as well. Judge clashing with one of the Blades players. I think it's O'Connell, isn't it? The two squaring up, and the referee doing his best to try and calm things down.
Yeah, so just a coming together, one of those things. Referee's got his yellow card out. Looks like Judge is the man going into the book. He, well, doesn't seem to agree with that, but we'll take a look. Well, ball's contested, and then they're both going in a little bit naughty, I feel.
Maybe feels the way he comes down, the movement down with the foot there.
Yeah, he's a little bit late on it, maybe over the ball slightly. Yeah, he's trying to compete in there. I think the referee got that right, actually, looking at that again. And Alan Judge goes in the notebook.
It wasn't completely obvious in the first instance. On further inspection, you can understand why the referee has taken that decision.
Well, if I were going to pick on somebody, it wouldn't have been O'Connell.
And Judge not the biggest of players either, is he? It was a mismatch. I think that's why the referee walked away. He thought, I'm not getting involved either. We're almost done with the 2 minutes of additional time, but I think we might have a little bit more on top of that now due to the little spillover on the halfway line a moment ago. Throw in here for Sheffield United. And actually, no extra time on top. So Sheffield United looking pretty comfortable. They lead Ipswich by a goal to 0 at home.
At Bramall Lane at half-time, it's Sheffield United 1, Ipswich Town 0, and the Blades have simply blown Town away in the first half. We've been all over them from the get-go, really. Took 23 minutes before they hit the back of the net, though. They've kept creating overlaps on the left-hand side and did it again. Jack O'Connell, the freedom of Bramall Lane to put a decent ball in. Scott Hogan got goal side of his mark, and from close range, just deflected, side-foot that ball into the back of the net. We've had a Norwood shot, also goal-mouth melee, but it's the Blades on top. Bramall Lane at half-time, it's Sheffield United 1, Ipswich Town 0, and the Blades have simply blown Town away in the first half. We've been all over them from the get-go, really. Took 23 minutes before they hit the back of the net, though. They've kept creating overlaps on the left-hand side and did it again. Brilliant for them. It may not all be done and dusted yet. They need to win this game, really. They're a goal up, that's all. And like we said, you know, uh, anybody can somehow grab a goal who plays football, you feel. As Skews just lays the ball back to his keeper. Under a little bit of pressure there, Kenlock flicks the ball inside, but Kenlock was caught there. For the Blades, it's in touching distance. Sometimes you see an implosion. You know, they want it so badly that somebody then puts in a bad challenge, or because their impetus is incredible and what they want, so they'll be on the raggedy edge today, and maybe that might lead to a mistake or two, but I doubt it. You'd have assumed that they should be able to get over this potential banana skin comfortably as they win the ball in midfield. Cross comes in, essentially blocked away by Cole Skews, and then the ball out left hand side, and leg left out there, an obvious free kick. Lumpy challenge on Ender Stevens there, who was absolutely chopped down to the ground. Leg left James Bree.
Nice play from Stevens there. Saw two players ahead of him and wasn't at all concerned about taking it on and trying to find a way through, weaving his way into the box, and just cuts inside the challenge. Bree unable to move quick enough, so just dangles out that leg. No doubt Sheffield United at half-time there with Chris Wilder would have been talking about how crucial it is to get this second goal. yes, it's all in their hands at the moment, but you want that comfortable finish to a game. For me, it's maybe set up for Billy Sharp to come on as well, be the hero and get that second goal and make certain.
Yeah, that's right. Need to seal the deal, don't they, and move on. You know, the nightmare would be point from this game, point from the last. And as the ball comes in, smashes off the post. It's a great ball in. And now the counter-attack, though, is on. They've got 2 against 1 Ipswich, but look at the Blades getting back here. Fleck putting the afterburners on. Ipswich still have it, though, inside the box. Maybe an opportunity for them. Ball goes backwards and percentage ball laid in. And eventually that will be cleared away. Yeah, decent looking counter-attack there with a lot of pace down the right-hand side. Don't quite know who it was who took that ball on for Ipswich, but you know, you could see there with the Blaze chasing back what it meant, how many bodies they got back quickly. And who was it with the free kick there? It's
Norwood.
It's great by the keeper, I think. We've got to credit the save there.
Yeah, swings an arm through, doesn't he? It's his right hand that just clips the ball and does enough to turn it onto the inside of the post. And that one's nestling in the side netting if he doesn't. Gherkin, so crucial. And he managed to get something in the way. And Norwood is so good over set pieces. He knows exactly what he's doing there, that there's no danger that was an accident, that it was destined for the far corner. Wasn't aiming for any runners. Puts it across the goal with pace and knows that there's every likelihood it might end up getting into the back of the net. But you're right as well what you say about the desire of Sheffield United to get back and defend that situation a moment ago. Obviously you can move much quicker without the ball than with it, and they flood back in 3s and 4s to make sure that they're into a shape and they're not going to be caught 2-on-1 as it was initially.
Hogan had made a good little break there down left-hand side. Ball comes in. Cole Skews heads it away. Ball breaks out to the right-hand side. Baldock back on his inner. Maybe chance for a shot. Pot shot comes in from deep. It's not particularly great, that from Norwood. Can't win them all. Then a ball, interesting ball, dabbed over the top by Trevor Chalobah. There's half a chance for a little run there for Teddy Bishop to run onto. But in the end it didn't quite work out. Game getting stretched, which is good. Baldock's got it. Clever little ball from him down the flank. Little heel. Everything coming out now. And then it's Baldock who by the corner flag. But he's held up fairly well there. And in the end, Nsiala clears his lines. Anyway, we'll do. Still 1-0 though. Still that sneaky half chance. Those thoughts, those terrible negative thoughts. The fans will be thinking, well, hang on. Yeah, if we get a draw here, and what if we draw the last? Then that means that Leeds only, they need to win their 2 games. They could do that. Leeds have gone on runs. I think the thing for Leeds is they can't play games in quick succession, but they've had a week. I wouldn't be surprised if they beat Villa. No great surprise about that, either which way. But if they do, then their final game of the season is against Ipswich Town. They have a long enough time to prepare for that. And looking at Town here, you just think that, yeah, particularly at home where they're expected to do a little more and come out a little bit more, they could be buried.
Yeah, I think it's interesting the way it's worked out, isn't it? The fact that Sheffield United have their, not quite a gimme this evening, but the game they're expected to win of the last 2 more so. And Leeds then have that on the final day. So they both have an obstacle still to overcome in Stoke for the Blades and Aston Villa for Leeds. One you'd probably say tougher than the other. But I think, yes, we'll keep talking about the fact that they're only a goal up. It is going to see nerves set in. I think you're only human when there's such a big prize at the end of it. Earlier in the season, even a few weeks ago at 1-0 in this game, you might suggest the nerves wouldn't come as much. But now you're so close and you can almost taste it. You do start dreaming of being a Premier League footballer for those that haven't experienced it before. And it becomes so real in games like this when you get to the closing stages.
Yeah, well, most of them won't have done, will they? Looking through the team.
Basham has.
Yep, definitely. I'm surprised if Norwood hasn't, although we've seen him a lot in the international stage. Maybe he hasn't.
Yeah.
Maybe John Egan at some point in his career, I don't know. Clutching at straws. Right. Anyway, not too many. Right then. So Blades 1, Ipswich 0. Canlock there draws a foul. Again, Yeah, trying their best, Ipswich. But they're sort of playing in fits and starts. Nobody really caught the eye for them, really. Teddy Bishop, I think, possibly in midfield. Cole Skuse has done all right at the back. They've obviously got a lot to work on. Obviously, as far as the Blades are concerned, it's not just Leeds United that are in the mix. It's the team who've been at the top, and I'm sort of blithely calling Norwich City up. But they've got Blackburn next, and then their final game of the season is against Aston Villa. As we see cross coming from Hogan, but it's overhit that. Let's turn through that. Couldn't drag it back enough. Yeah, so Blackburn, they can be hit and miss, but players like Bradley Dack, quite decent. You know, on his day can be good.
Yeah, I'd probably suggest Blackburn might be around the playoffs next season as well. Actually, I fancied them to have a good season this term. It's not quite happened so far, but first campaign back in it, it's similar to what we've seen with Sheffield United coming up from League One. You've got that momentum. It's a case of trying to keep it going, and it's not quite been the huge success that maybe the fans hoped for early on when they started quite well, but good club, well supported, decent manager in Mowbray, and as you say, a good squad of players. If they can keep them together, they might be able to mount a charge for the top six, potentially even automatics next season if all things go to plan. So, like you say, it's not going to be an easy day for Norwich by any stretch of the imagination. They need just a point, don't they? I think Norwich to be certain today. Daniel Farke has been saying this week they are going to go for the win. They're not going to consider the fact they just need a point.
No, can't change the way that they've been playing. Ball hit across the face to Baldock, puts another cross in. McGoldrick takes on his chest, then he's got the second touch, lays that ball back to Fleck. Fleck thinks about a strike, and then his ball is blocked by Skuse. Let's have a bit of a recap. They start this second half then. At Bramall Lane, business as usual for the Blades on top of Ipswich Town and creating chances. We saw a pretty industrial challenge by Jane Bree, the right back that gave a free kick. Oliver Norwood delivered a great ball in, and had it not been for the fingertips of Dean Gherkin, it would have hit the back of the net. He scraped it onto the post. The Blades are looking for their second and really to seal the deal.
Ipswich just having to do a bit of dirty work on the back foot at present. They have managed to scramble it away. As Sheffield United come away down the right hand side. Duffy is stopped in his tracks, so they'll have the throw in. Not quite been as relentless as it was in the opening 10 minutes of this game, when at this point we'd already seen 3 or 4 efforts from Sheffield United, a couple of them blocked and one saved that had a succession of corners. They're still dominant, having all of the ball and playing their football in opposition territory, but it appears to be a little bit more considered just at present, and maybe that was the demand from Chris Wilder at half time. Let's try and make sure, let's create that clear opening that we can take, rather than just throwing everything at them and hoping something sticks. It of course did on one occasion in that opening 45 minutes, but as we say, they're hunting for that second goal and want to kill this off. They are out on the left hand side. Ball rolled down the flank, an opportunity for McGoldrick to cross, but closed down. He goes back into Stevens, and his flick ball infield is intercepted by Ipswich, who just at the moment can't find a way out.
No, having a bit of a struggle, aren't they? Oliver Norwood with a cross in, headed into the side netting by McGoldrick. Again, an opportunity there. Not a bad ball in at all. Just looking at John Egan and trying to squeeze him into a Premier League side.
Not happening.
Well, he's had bits of spells. I mean, he was at Sunderland for 3 years, but didn't get a look in. That's when he went on loan. You know, yeah, you'd have to think about when Bradford were in the top flight and maybe a spell on loan at Palace or something.
Yeah, we can see he's. No, he was in a Premier League squad.
Yeah,
didn't play.
No, that's right. Oh, so close to being right there. I'd have hated that to be right. Anyway, good ball into the box, shot from Hogan. It's blocked by the keeper. Second attempt is held on to by him again, and, well, the flag had gone up, so it wouldn't have counted. Or was it his second effort? But we'll take a look. Bobby, tell me what you see.
Yeah, it's good competition in midfield, isn't it, to win it initially there. Ball rolled down the line, all good at this
He's
point.
never onside, is he?
Yeah, it's Hogan who is, Hogan, rather, the man who is eventually offside. As you say, he's always ahead of the defenders. And that, again, stinks of someone to me who hasn't scored a lot of goals. He's just desperate to get into position without really considering too much his position, awareness of what's around him. Yes, he's got one today, but one goal doesn't immediately bring back all that ability, that confidence. He's still looking to try and add to it further, and in the end the chance goes. But I mean, we still have to credit Gherkin for the save. He didn't know that it was offside and that it wouldn't have counted, made himself big, and he's just about keeping Ipswich in it at the moment. You think back to the one he tipped onto the post as well.
Yeah, right then. I'm looking now. I'm casting my net wide to put some of these players in. Andy Stevens has played 7 games of Premier League for Aston Villa.
There we go.
But Oliver Norwood, despite being with Manchester United for a while, didn't get a look in there. The League One of the Championship is pretty much where he's been. Anyway, going to go through them one by one now and bore Bobby to bits. Anyway, the Blaze playing out from the back now. Good ball forward. It just looked like it gone out of play there from Hogan, but I think it might have been just too close, this assistant referee, on that near side. He couldn't see it. Contested ball in the middle of the park, and decent header won there by Downs. Ball humped up in the air again as McGoldrick tries to get on the end of it. Colskews picks it up, but might be judged to have been backing in there. So Sheffield United won, Ipswich Town 0 as we're closing on the hour mark. Sun shining at Bramhall Lane. The fans will be feeling great. Well, there we go. Brian Dean from Leeds. But when he's referring to us, he's talking about Sheffield United.
Yep.
So, yeah, he played for Leeds a couple of times. I don't think he felt that he'd been treated well by the club. And the Blades were his natural home, where he played his best football, I'd have to say, as well. England cap, Brian Dean. And a decent player at best.
Played in the Premier League as well, as we saw there. Scored Sheffield United's first ever goal in the Premier League. So pretty nice tag for him to have as well. And out there hoping they can get up today.
Last time I saw him play was at Elland Road when he was back at Leeds, and they were tight then, and they gave him money per goals sort of contract. He was playing in a game and he scored 4 goals. They hauled him off because they couldn't afford him to score any more.
The weekly budget had gone.
Yeah. Anyway, I think the manager at the time might have been told off for keeping him on at that point. But anyway, possibly it's QPR. Anyway, here an opportunity. Hogan with an air shot gets the ball back inside the box. Good challenge by Trevor Chalobah, and he takes it off him. Launching long, but it's not a great ball. No real chance for Caden Jackson. We're waiting for the second goal, aren't we, really? I think then there'll be the more concerted celebration. They try and squeeze through, but the ball ends up with Gherkin then.
Yeah, I mentioned Sharp before, and just off those last 2 chances for Hogan, I'm starting to think more and more over the hour mark now. We might see that change made, Hogan off and Sharp on. He's certainly not lacked in front of the target this season. Slapped up everything that has fallen his way pretty much, and been their standout man. He is fit enough to be on the bench. I don't see why they wouldn't give him a run out.
You know what? He's in his 3rd spell for the Blades, and as a Sheffield lad. I mean, that's great anyway. But how often does it work out for the home team player? Usually it just, for some reason, it doesn't work out.
Yep.
You end up going somewhere else. But he 162 appearances, 87 goals, Billy Sharp, which is incredible. At any level, that's pretty good. His first spell at 51 games, going 8 goals, which is why he eventually went to Doncaster Rovers. So things have changed since then. A bit more experience. We're going to see a change now.
I think it is Sharp as the camera cut away there. Pretty much the whole of Bramall Lane rose to its feet and started applauding. I think that's because they'll have spotted Billy Sharp on the touchline and knowing that, as we say, he's likely to see this one through for them, and it is that change expected. Scott Hogan off, Billy Sharp on. Takes the captain's armband off Oliver Norwood in the process as well. There's credit to Sheffield United as well. Obviously, he has been their main goal threat this season, but he's missed a few weeks, hasn't he, through injury, and fans probably felt at that point, oh, this might be it. Are the wheels going to come off now without him? But they seem to have just plugged away, got on with it. Other players have filled in just at the right time, and he's back now, ready to go, and hoping to see them over the line. I'm wondering if there's going to be a change for Ipswich as well, because that's why we had the initial break in play. There was a man down injured, receiving treatment. That treatment has now been completed, but it doesn't seem to be any movement down on the touchline in terms of the away side. It's Jackson, who is just off the side of the pitch at the moment, talking with Paul Lambert, but he seems to be happy to go back on.
Yeah, it looks likely. So both teams have made just one change. Trevor Chalobah came on early for Will Keane. Still just 1-0, and there will be nerves. But like we said, the talisman is on. Like I said, I saw the Blades against Leeds, and he was man of the match. Just awesome. And I think sometimes when you see somebody, you think sometimes the pressure of being the home player in the home shirt is too much. But if anything, I just think it's now it works almost the opposite way for him. It bolsters him, and it gives him a hug, that shirt.
Yeah.
So
I think maybe the fact we mentioned before, Chris Wilder as well, being a manager that has played for the club and a supporter of the club as well, almost gives him more confidence that he's got somewhere alongside him who's been there and done it, come through that sort of scenario, and he's maybe advised and learnt from that too.
Yep. Anyway, whatever they're doing it well enough. Let's just try and make ground down the right hand side, but it's a poor ball. It's almost through the midriff of Caden Jackson. He can't bring it in. The ball goes all the way back to Dean Gherkin, who bowls it out. Maybe they can make some ground with Nsiala, but he's having a battle on his hands there. And in the end, he makes no ground whatsoever. As I think it might be Mark Duffy. He's the man who just blocks him off. So Lanton George, Billy Sharp with half a smile on his face. I'll be thinking, right, yeah, be a good way to seal the deal by scoring at home. Anyway, McGoldrick holding the ball up. Really good workhorse for them, and proved when Sharp was out as well, he can get involved and get a couple of goals when needed. Vital goals from him in midweek. McGoldrick now picks it up. He happy to play that a little bit deeper. Yeah, like we said, Mick McCarthy could see the benefits that his industry brings. As the ball breaks through the box to McGoldrick now. Lays it back. Baldock stands the ball up. Up go the heads. Just about cleared away. Good play by Bishop just to flick it further forward. Ball might break for Caden Jackson. And actually, down left hand side is Kenlock. And Ipswich have the ball. Ball just laid back by James Bree and into midfield for Flynn Downs. Town having a little bit of possession of it. Chalobah out to the right hand side for Bree. He's held up, keeping the ball in a bit of a triangle, not really going anywhere. Flynn Downs again, and well, that ball won, and now it breaks forward. An opportunity then for Sharp, but the pocket pick there, and pretty good challenge from Luke Chambers, just holding a leg in there just as well. I thought he was getting through him there.
Yeah, he was very much head down, wasn't he, driving towards goal, didn't have any other support. Fantastic ball through from McGoldrick to send him on his way, but there were no runners coming to join the attack. Sharp had to try and beat his man, and had he done so, would have been through on goal. So good work from Chambers just to hold him off. It was interesting just to see when Ipswich were on the attack at the other end as well, and it was Bree who just stopped in his tracks. He had a look round his outside, thinking, where's the overlap? Is it coming? No. And the huge difference between the two teams was spoken about. Sheffield United having 2 or 3 players on the overlap. Ipswich haven't even got one.
So out comes the keeper, Dean Gherkin, does pretty well there as Ender Stevens tried to make ground. Read the play pretty well there and timed it perfectly. Right, we're 3/4 of the way through this game in the Championship. Sheffield United 1, Ipswich Town 0. Only a goal in it, but still the Blades on top. If they're to score again, it's going to be described by Bobby.
Thank you very much. Into that final period then, and looks as though Ipswich are going to make a change. It'll be their second of the game, but at least this one is the choice of Paul Lambert. Andre Dozel comes on, replacing Caden Jackson. Although Jackson did go down with an injury a few moments ago, but he's come off the pitch there of his own accord and looks to be moving okay. Might just be a case of fresh legs in these closing stages, see if they can cause an upset. Of course, Norwich fans, Leeds fans will be hoping that Ipswich can just nick something from this game. A win would have been a very ambitious demand, but a draw still on the cards as things stand. Scouse has just sliced one away behind for a corner, so I've got a set piece just to deal with for the moment. Scouse apologising to his teammates for that one. I don't think there was too much fault to be placed on his shoulders. He attempted to clear, it was just mistimed. The corner does come in and it's headed over the bar. Really good opportunity. There's been a threat from set pieces so far today. I think it's Egan, is it, in the end, who rises there just on the edge of the 6-yard box. Yeah, John Egan gets away from his man, just peels off the back shoulder and can't get over the top of the ball.
No, it's decent effort. Keeps in there and maybe should be looking to try and head that down, but he never. So, yeah, Andre Dozel is on, and he's the son of Jason Dozel. So, we all know about him. Bobby's looking at me nonplussed here.
Shrug of the shoulders.
Right, well, here we go. Jason Dozel, England under-21s. But Ipswich Town, 340 appearances when Ipswich were good, between 83 and 93. And then Tottenham after that. So, yeah, decent player, had a good career. A bit bigger than his son, though. Jason Dozel's 6'1". I think Andre's 5'10", but if he's got a bit of the talent his old man had, then he'd be a decent player.
Sharp playing one through now, and Basham into the box. His attempted cross is blocked. They'll go away for a corner. In fact, it wasn't Basham, it was Baldock this time. The wing back who had taken up a good position. Nice slick football from the Blades. Sensing maybe just a bit of nerves from those home fans now. They're doing their best to keep the atmosphere positive, but there's one or two nervous looks on the faces around Bramall Lane. Hoping and willing this ball into the back of the net. It's going to be taken, the corner, by Fleck with a left-footed in-swinger. There's a good bit of height on it, and it's headed off the underside of the bar and into the back of the net. Sheffield United now have a 2-0 advantage. It's O'Connell who applies the finishing touch. The warning sign was there off the previous set piece when Egan headed over. This time, Fortune off the underside of the bar. Sheffield United 2, Ipswich 0.
At Bramall Lane, the Blades have 1 foot in the Premier League. They've just scored their second goal, which will probably be enough to gain 3 points. They're at the top of the table as it stands. We'd seen a warning sign with an Egan header just over from a set piece about a minute ago, but this time there was no escaping. A great leap by Jack O'Connell from close range, plants the header on the underside of the bar to make it 2.
It's almost a carbon copy as well. Identical run. One of the central defenders just runs straight towards the edge of the 6-yard box. He's completely unchallenged, and it's a gift. He couldn't miss from that range. He almost did off the underside of the bar, but his last 5 goals now, Jack O'Connell, have all come at Bramall Lane. He's very much a home bird and has continued to impress in front of the home fans, who now can just start to calm down a little, having shown some nerves in this second half. The game is very much in their hands, and I think only the most optimistic of Ipswich fans, Norwich and Leeds fans would believe that there could be a comeback from the travelling side in this one. At 1-0 it was potentially there, but at 2 it is a huge stretch, and those Sheffield United fans know they go into party mode. Just what that goal might mean come the end of this weekend and the fixtures for Norwich and Leeds United respectively. Ipswich are forward though. They'll swing a ball into the box and it's brought down there in the area by Dazelle, but just can't quite get it under his full control, and Sheffield United will come away. Duffy barrels over the halfway line down the right hand side, didn't get the shout for man on, didn't know he was under pressure, and subsequently has had his pocket picked. Ipswich go back into their own box before looking to try and spring forward again, but it's all been in vain so far this evening for Ipswich. Haven't been able to string together any meaningful attacks consistently. A good 5-minute period in the first half after conceding. Aside from that, they haven't really been able to get any sort of a foothold in this game. The rating was almost on the wall before even a ball was kicked as they headed across to Yorkshire.
I think you look at the team and you think, yeah, all right, they try to play a bit of football, but what's the true identity of this team? You know, it's difficult to work out. Do they have any great pace about them? Not really. Do they have any great height? Not really. You know, so they're passing the ball in triangles. You know, Paul Lambert is a man who likes his team to play a little bit of football. You know, but keep ball, as we found out, you know, in the last few years, not what it's cracked up to be, is it? You definitely need cutting edge or you know where. And this team just don't look really like they've got much of anything. You know what I mean? Now they've given the ball away, so yeah, it's just a real struggle for them, and it'll be hard to find out the group of individuals that they've got there, you know, a way forward. What style are they? What sort of team are they? At the minute, you can't tell, can you? And they look like any other fodder team, I think.
Yeah, they've really struggled to compete in this game, have been second best from the opening moments. Sheffield United very good for this victory. Just looking back at a replay there of the second goal as well, Dean Gerkin did actually end up on the deck before he could even come out to save it, but it didn't appear to be a great deal of contact. I don't think there's much of a case to make in terms of him being fouled. Talking of fouls, Basham has been brought down, and a free kick to Sheffield United wide on their right hand side. So Sheffield United fans can lord this over their cross-city rival Sheffield Wednesday as well. The fact that they've been down to League One and had to come back up from the third tier and they're going to go to the Premier League all in the meantime, that Sheffield Wednesday have been unable to do so. Despite getting to a playoff final, it hasn't quite worked out for the Owls. It's all fallen into place for the Blades as they put another free kick in. It's to the far post, played them back just behind McGoldrick, and Ipswich will look to come away on the counter-attack. That's a poor ball out. Move breaks down, just needs a little bit more care from Judge.
Yeah, a lot more care. I mean, it's not a difficult ball, that, is it? But nothing's sticking for them. They've got that sinking feeling. They've had it all season. Here we go again. I'm going to get beat. Man, it's not a nice feeling, is it? But it's to be expected at this point of the year. The season unravelled a long time ago. You know, every time they step out there, it's like, all right, we get to go again. But again, you get those familiar feelings of disappointment and upset. You know, and the fans who've travelled wanted to see a little bit of you. And they've not had much to shout about, but I bet Town have got a few fans out there in that 30,000 crowd. For the most part, though, they'll be celebrating, won't they? As Medine's going to come on, and he's got a big grin like a Cheshire cat, and everybody, quite rightly, is enjoying themselves out there, I think.
Yeah, there is a party atmosphere which can often be found in grounds up and down the country at this time of the season. In contrast, there is also the other side of things that Ipswich are experiencing, where there's very little to smile about. You're desperate for that summer to come and just to hit the reset button, start all over again for the new campaign and hope that something changes. Teams like Sheffield United, who appear to be heading up a division, and more importantly to the Premier League, it is a case of wanting that summer to pass by as quickly as possible. Desperate to see your team in action against some of the biggest sides in English football and potentially even European football, when you look at the way that English sides are starting to dominate in the Champions League as well. That change is about to be made then. It's McGoldrick who's going to go off. Gary Medine will come on in his place, so it's a fresh attacking duo with Sharp and Medine now to lead that line.
Yeah, fresh legs out there, and everybody getting a bit of a touch and enjoying it. Yeah, they've got the biggest squad, have they? Players like Dowell, he's played his part in their success this season, but really, it's a relatively small squad, isn't it? They've got 39 out there on the books. You'd have said that a few of those guys don't really get much of a look in, but it's a squad that doesn't really look strong enough, does it? But again, how has he managed to do what he's done and get them into the position? Teams like West Bromwich Albion, Aston Villa have got much stronger squads and have not been able to do it. They played in fits and starts. For me, depending on who come out on top of their duke out, it was between Wilder and Bielsa for manager of the season. And so Wilder wins it. For me, I think that I give all credit to Norwich, but I think that they've made shrewd signings, bought some very good players, and that makes it easier for the manager. But I would say that there'd be a load of managers out there who would do nothing with this bunch. Might even take him into a relegation dogfight. But for the most part, I think your bog standard manager makes this team mid-table.
Yeah, they might have a bit of money to spend in the summer, though. They have got some pretty well supported owners, financially anyway. It's just a case of whether they're prepared to put the hand in the pocket. Now the promised land has been found, or once that is officially confirmed, of course, and I'm sure Chris Wilder will be knocking on that door and saying, come on, we want to have more than a season, stay in the top flight, let's put a bit of money in. I'm sure he's wise enough to have seen the mistakes that have been made previously. Fulham, for instance, that went and just threw loads of cash at it and it ultimately didn't work out. You want to go and put some money in, but keep that core of the squad. They might well find themselves with a bit of money to throw about in the right areas. Ball down the left-hand side here for Ipswich, sees them stopped just presently by Baldock and then hooked away to the halfway line. Sharp tries to bring it down, he's fouled in the process. Not really had much of a look in just yet, Sharp. Sure he might get a chance before this game is through, though, as we head in towards the final 10 minutes now. Sheffield United 2, Ipswich 0. Of course, you can hear Norwich taking on Blackburn on this service as well, a little bit later on this evening. There's the unusually timed late championship fixture on a Saturday, but such is the presence and importance of it at this time of the season. There's plenty of interest from neutral fans that maybe want to get a glance at what's going to be joining them in the Premier League next season, see what their sides will be up against. Those Premier League fans that maybe haven't paid too much attention over the term do start to just wonder who their opponents will be. We're almost confirmed with all three of the sides that will be heading down from the Premier League.
Yeah, talking about money, I'm just looking at the record transfer fee paid by Sheffield United, and it's amazing. And how long ago it was, and how little it is. 4 million for James Beattie. I mean, wow. I mean, that's just chicken feed, isn't it?
Yep.
Honest to goodness.
To say they've put this squad together on a shoestring, really. Be interesting to see how much this squad is actually worth. That's the type of thing we do tend to hear more about once a side gets to the Premier League. Obviously, a bit of homework could easily solve that, not between now and full time, but yeah, I think you often see that comparison when you'll see a side like Sheffield United against City, and you'll see that the entire squad would probably be worth what one of those City players costs, or maybe even just a slice of one of those players once they get to the big time. But yeah, definitely a bit of investment I think is needed to make sure Sheffield United have the depth and enough options if injuries do play their part next term. Ball down the right-hand side now for Ipswich. Sees them get over the halfway line. Dazelle moves it further wide to Scouse and back in towards Bree. Nice neat stuff on the halfway line, which they've done at times today, Ipswich, but they haven't really been able to then take that to the next step in towards the final third, and I don't really remember Henderson making a save. In fact, I don't think there has been a shot on target, meaningful one anyway, from Ipswich in this match. There might have been a bit of a P-roller earlier on in the game. I think Downs it was who had one that Henderson pretty much just had to fall on. Since then, his goal has remained pretty safe. Ipswich again just see the move break down once they get to the edge of the box. That's the good defensive work and shape of Sheffield United working to great effect again. Duffy takes too long on the ball here and almost has his pocket picked, but it should settle for a throw, although the final touch might have actually come off him, so I think Ipswich will have the restart. It was Downs there who was getting stuck in for the travelling side. Switch the play across towards the right hand side now. And again, it's almost at walking pace. Ipswich know their fate is sealed, and Sheffield United aren't really committing as many bodies as previously. They know that potentially doing so could leave them at a bit of risk, although it's unlikely.
They've just been wholly professional, haven't they, throughout this performance. They started off well, got on top, it's like holding them down, slap them in the face and grabbed a couple of goals, and now they just sat back and say, right, well, no need for us to go for a third. We're doing very well, we're comfortable, and we'll just shore up and do what we need to do. But yeah, I mean, it's as comfortable a victory as you're ever going to see in any football game, isn't it? They started off well, looked like they were going to win. There was one spell, wasn't there, after the first 10 minutes when Ipswich had a little bit of play, and then the Blazers redoubled their efforts, and then that was that. And as soon as they got the first goal, you kind of thought, well, that's that. And the second goal, of course, has cemented that idea.
Third and final change now for Sheffield United, and it's going to be Duffy to make his way off the field. Pumps his fists towards the fans as he makes his way off the pitch, knowing that that's job done. John Lundstrom is going to come on in his place. The number 7 immediately passes on the messages from the bench to make sure that they're all set up correctly. Well, that's the final substitution, and Sheffield United will see it through as they are now.
At Bramall Lane, it's still 2-0 to the Blades. They've made a couple of changes now. McGoldrick replaced by Medine. Billy Sharp, of course, had come on for Hogan. They look very comfortable. In fact, just sat back and doing a little bit of defending. Ipswich Town made a change. Andre Dazelle on for Caden Jackson. He couldn't get involved, and neither could Dazelle, who's the son of former Ipswich Town legend Jason Dazelle. But it's been a real toothless performance from the visiting side. They've had nothing going forward, and have looked all over the place at the back. Very comfortable then for the Blades.
Yeah, it's been almost a walk in the park, really, for the home side this afternoon. They work it out towards the right-hand side now. Just doing a check on Lundstrom, because I know he started out his career with Everton, but didn't actually make it through to their senior side to play in the Premier League. Has been a bit of a journeyman around the divisions. He looks as though he's set for life in the Premier League, as Nsiala just does enough here to win his side at a free kick on the edge of his own box. Shields the ball really well. It'll be Gherkin to come out and do the job in terms of clearing away. Urges his side just to creep up the field, and I'll be hoping for a consolation here, Ipswich. That's all it will be if they manage to find a way through it at this late stage. Would just take a little bit of the shine off the performance, I think, for Sheffield United if they were to allow their opponents to nick one. I don't think they're going to throw it away, though. Free kick given away now again by Sheffield United as they've tried to close down on the halfway line. Bree forced to the ground a little bit unfairly. They take it short into their own half. Chalobah dropping it off towards Chambers. Out towards the left-hand side with Kenlock and working it around in their own half. That sun has dropped now, so the players just looking to see things through as the evening draws in, and I'm sure they'll be taking a close look at what's to come with Norwich against Blackburn a little bit later on. Certainly the Sheffield United players, there might be a bit of interest from Ipswich as well, of course, being their rivals, hoping that Blackburn can do them a favour in terms of delaying what looks the inevitable, that they'll be going up to the Premier League on the end of the campaign. 3 minutes left to go now of the 90. Whatever the referee deems is required in terms of additional time on top of that. Those Sheffield United fans rising to their feet again and very much winding down and enjoying things here.
Yeah, I think so. Very satisfying end to the campaign for them at home. And a few of the fans will be away at the final game of the season, knowing that it's a case of job done. Then you're dreaming about what's going to happen next season and fretting, all the summer to think about who you're getting in the transfer market, all those links. But it's exciting, isn't it? And it's the place to be. Some of the fans will be thinking, well, we might go straight back down, but you want to be there, even if it is one season. Sometimes you could build off that. We saw that with Charlton back in the day, went down straight back up. Burnley more recently. You get big money when you're in there. That's it. It doesn't hurt, provided that you use it wisely. Just don't throw it. Fulham just threw money at it, didn't they, when they went up, and they upset what was a decent team. Picked a load of players that they didn't know whether they were going to be good enough for form a cohesive unit, and then were surprised when it all fell to bits. I thought Wolves did it a better way. Bought players in the Championship. Made the squad then that they thought was going to be good enough. Made sure that it was. Many ways to do it, but the money is important. And even if the Blades did come down, then they've got a parachute payment that, again, should sugarcoat it if they only last one season. If they don't go mad in the transfer market, it should be enough to sustain the club for a good few years to come anyway. So it's all good news that if it's used correctly.
It's something that, as you say, Fulham would just break off a long-range effort there, really out of nothing. About 35 yards out on this left-hand side. It was dipping towards the target from Judge. It looked as though it was going to be comfortably covered by Henderson, but he didn't want to take a gamble. He puts both hands up and palms it away and behind for the corner. Well, finally, Henderson had some work to do. It's not often that Ipswich have threatened his goal in this game. Now they have the corner. Good movement towards the near post, and that's where the delivery goes. Sent it away by Sheffield United, pumped long downfield. No one up there to challenge for it, but this gives them time to settle back into a shape, but it was ambitious from Judge.
A good shot, wasn't it? Shot to nothing, and had to be tipped over the bar. Dean Henderson had nothing to do, and had to make a decent save, didn't he? But, well, that could have flown in. I just think they could almost have played all night, Ipswich, without scoring. But then it just reminds you, doesn't it? Football is like that. Somebody can do something out of the blue when you least expect it, when you drop your guard. That's when things happen. But yeah, honestly, it's as comfortable a victory as you're ever going to hear about or see, and it might only be 2-0. It might as well be 20-0.
Yeah, we did say from the outset it was the best defence in the league against the worst defence, and in terms of the goals for and goals against columns, you could pretty much flip them over to represent how the two seasons have gone for these respective sides. There has been a huge contrast and a massive gulf between them. Many talk about the difference between the top and bottom of the Premier League, but has been the case in the Championship as well this season. Just unable to match their opponents, Ipswich, and that's proven to be the case again today. We're into 2 minutes of additional time. Here they come into the box again. Just breaks down with that final pass. Misplaced touch, and the move breaks down. A free kick now won by Sheffield United, which should probably take us through to full time. We're into that final minute of additional time as Sharp was nudged to the ground. Didn't seem a great deal in it, but referee Tim Robinson obviously feeling there was enough, and Jack Connell has been voted as man of the match. He's got a goal and an assist, and he's been very consistent in the way that he's attacked today. Might be a central defender or one of that back three. As we said from the outset, the approach, the style of Sheffield United does give them freedom to go and join the attack. Whip this free kick out towards the left-hand side, and it's won by an Ipswich head out into touch for a throw. And the Sheffield United fans prepare to erupt. The handshakes take place on the touchline. Wilder going to get in early with Paul Lambert, knowing that he probably wants to go and join his players on the pitch and go and celebrate this victory that edges them closer to automatic. It's all the respectful stuff out of the way first. And this final home game of the campaign has gone according to plan for the Blades. Huge step towards promotion as the whistle goes, and a comfortable victory as was expected over Ipswich. At full time it's finished. Sheffield United 2, Ipswich Town 0.
Our next football commentary match is getting ever nearer, so why not take the opportunity of having a bet on